It's time for our review. Yay! Okay, you guys need to buckle in because I have a lot to say. This is a review for Hannibal Series 3, Episode 7, Digestivo. Written by Bryan Fuller and Steve Lightfoot, and directed by Adam Kane. And yes, of course, it contains spoilers. Sorry. I would also like to dedicate this episode to Steph, who is at ButWe'veGotHeart on Twitter, because she sent me a really sweet tweet, saying that she really liked these reviews. So, hey Steph, this is for you. Now, let's all cry together. Ah! So this was just such a good episode. It was amazing. I have practically nothing but praise for it, but one tiny little thing before we get into all of the heaps of praise. I can accept that Mason is super mega rich, so he could pay to have Hannibal and Will secretly transported. I mean, I'm assuming they would have flown them over. They would have tied them up and brought them to an airport and put them, I don't know, maybe in a cargo hold of a plane or something, and flown them over really quickly, and then put them in that truck and hung them upside down and brought them to the farm. Mason has a lot of money, so that kind of makes sense. I'm sure you can smuggle people out of countries if you have a lot of money. How the fuck did Chio follow them so fast? Does she have money and a passport? And how did she get her sniper rifle on a plane? She must have flown after them, because she didn't take weeks to get there, so she must have flown and got there really fast and then was able to wait outside with her sniper rifle. I mean, I know Jack told her exactly where they were, so that makes sense, but how did she physically get there? I don't understand! I am, however, really glad that we got an explanation of what the fuck happened at the end of last episode, because if you'll remember, Will was getting his brain cut into, and then suddenly he wakes up in the back of a van, and Mason Verger's there, and you're like, what the fuck happened? So you get to see that at the start of this episode, which I really appreciated. So the cops that Mason has paid off come in, they take Hannibal, they take Will, and they leave a couple of guys to deal with Jack to make it look like Hannibal killed him. But no, Chio's been waiting. That's where Chio was. Because do you remember? She was in the lift and then she just rambled off and you're like, what the fuck's Chio doing? She was getting up onto a roof so she could be sniping outside. I love Chio. So she saved Jack, and in return he told her where Mason was taking Hannibal and Will, and she went after them. Still don't know how. I'm gonna let it go, but anyway. So then Margot and Alana are in bed together, and Margot gets a call telling her that Hannibal and Will have been captured. And can I just pause for a second and say how much I fucking love Margot and Alana as a couple. They're amazing. You know how we've had murder husbands with Hannibal and Will? Can we now have murder wives with Alana and Margot? Because after this episode, I mean, they kind of are. Murderers, that is, not married. Although maybe one day. But things are not going according to their plan. As we found out last week, they were using Mason for his resources just so they could get Hannibal back there. And then they were gonna get Hannibal handed over to the FBI, and they'd arrest Mason as well for bounty hunting Hannibal and trying to kill him, and then both their problems would be solved. Hannibal would be locked up, Mason would be locked up, and they could just be together and be rich and it'd all be cool. But the FBI is not coming to save the day anymore, so they're gonna have to improvise. You all know by now how intensely I hate Mason Verger. He's just... oh, he's awful and gross and deserves to get eaten by pigs. So when he's there waiting for the van and then it shows up and it opens it and he's got that knife and he's checking the level of Hannibal's fat. Ugh. Hannibal's murdered a lot of people, but he's not pervy about it. He's just Mason. So they take them into the pig pen. And I'm assuming these are some kind of fancy pigs, or the prize pigs, because there's not many in there and they're all in their own individual little stalls. Surely that's not how you raise pigs. If you're raising enough pigs to be a millionaire, that's just not the optimal organisation of how you would keep your pigs. So I'm assuming they're kept with the best pigs. So Mason has Hannibal and Will dressed up for dinner, and it's a nice kind of mirror to the scene in the last episode where Jack and Will were the ones tied up at Hannibal's dinner table. And to be fair to Mason, he does feed them as he explains how he's going to steal Will's face. He's going to steal Will's face! What? 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 He's going to steal Will's face and put it on his face and then eat Hannibal with Will's face. I mean, I hated Mason already, but that's just like... No. I did have to laugh though when Mason started monologuing about the real life German cannibal guy that ate that guy's dick, and he's like, "It's such a shame the penis was overcooked and they went to all that trouble." And you can just see Hannibal trying really hard not to make an innuendo there. He's just like, "Oh, I'm really tempted to say something, but I'm not gonna." And I think Hannibal's actually quite enjoying this dinner because he just gets to play with Mason, and he hates Mason, and he's just like planning all the horrible things he's gonna do to Mason as soon as he has a chance. But Will is not enjoying it. Will's not playing. Will is done. Will is just absolutely, he is had enough. Like, as if everything that happened in Florence wasn't bad enough, now he's on the Verger farm and he's gonna have his face stolen. But what really pushes him over the edge is when Cordell starts talking about how he's gonna cook Hannibal. And Will's just like, nope, nope, you can steal my face all you want, you're not cooking Hannibal. And he tries to bite Cordell's face off and he takes a big lump out of his cheek, and oh, it's so good. And you can just see Hannibal looking at him going, "Oh my god, I'm so proud, look at Will eating people's faces, I'm so proud of my boy." So Will gets himself uninvited to the pyjama party, and then we get more naked Mads Mikkelsen. Because why not? Why on earth not? And hanging from the ceiling too, and like getting branded and about to be tortured. You've made a lot of people very happy with that. So Margot is getting Mason ready for surgery so he can have Will Graham's face put on of his face. And Mason starts taunting her about Alana, like in his gross, creepy Mason way. And then he reveals to her that when he ripped out her uterus in the previous season, he didn't throw away her eggs. He put them in a surrogate. And instantly I'm going, oh shit, this isn't going to be good. This is going to be something horrific. It's going to be really, really bad. And Margot doesn't trust him, of course she doesn't, but there is this spark of hope in her. She doesn't just want to have a kid so she can get her inheritance. She genuinely wants to be a mother and have a child. And I think losing her and Will's baby in the last season, and like losing it in such a horrific way, not even losing it, like Mason deliberately made her lose her child and took it from her. So the thought that there may be a baby out there that's hers, just, she can't help but get excited about that. And I think she would be a really good mother. Her and Alana, oh my god, would be such good parents. They'd be such good parents. If anyone ever even looked funny at that child, they would just rip them to shreds. Oh, they'd be such mama bears. It'd be amazing. We see Alana go to visit Will, where he's just been left at the dinner table, just tied to his chair, and she goes in to see him, and fuck, the look on his face. He didn't know Alana was involved in any of this, so he's understandably disgusted, you know, that someone that he cares for and respects and that he knows to be kind and intelligent would be working with such a monster. Obviously he doesn't know the backstory and all of her plans and stuff. I am confused though, like why wasn't she tracking Will? Didn't she know that he was going to Europe to look for Hannibal? Why wouldn't she just be tracking Will? Why was that not the plan? I don't get why that wasn't the plan. I do love though that a big part of why she was doing what she was doing was to protect Will and to protect him from himself and from his longing for Hannibal. And it's really nice that despite everything, Jack and Alana are both, their biggest motivation is still to protect Will. Even though they've fucked up numerous times and like hurt him and not treated him the right way, I think, that's still their main goal, is they want to protect Will. And that's good, because people need to take care of Will Graham and not try and steal his face. I've been angry in the past about like people just constantly being mean to Will, but I never thought we'd get to a stage where someone is actively trying to steal his face. They're trying to steal his face and then feed him to pigs. There is this wonderful moment though, because Alana up until this point has very much been the hero of this story in her own head, and everything that she's been doing so far she's seen as justified and reasonable, and most importantly, the bad things that have happened because of this plan haven't been her fault. They've been Mason's fault, they've been Hannibal's fault. And Will's like, no, you have to take responsibility for this. You're an active member in this game and you're gonna have to kill someone yourself actively before this is all over. Whether that be by your own hand or by something Mason or Hannibal does, their actions are because of you. So anyone they kill, that's your fault as well, and you need to take responsibility for that. So Margot goes to Hannibal for one last therapy session, and of course she doesn't trust him because he's used her in the past. But he was also one of the first people to really see the strength in her and to believe that she was more than a victim. So she tells him about Mason and the surrogate and her hope, and he just tells her honestly, like, you can't trust Mason, you know you can't trust Mason, you're gonna have to kill him. And if she does kill him, he will happily take the blame for it, which is sort of sweet, really. There is something sweet about this very protective streak Hannibal has in him towards a lot of the women on the show, like Chio and Margot and Bedelia, and Alana too, before she turned on him and he promised to kill her. And of course a lot of that comes from the whole Misha thing. But like, if Hannibal likes you, he will happily kill or maim or take the blame for you. Like, he is more than happy to do that. It doesn't negate the fact that he's a terrible, terrible, awful human being who has murdered and eaten people. But he does have this very particular moral code. God, I love this character so much. He's just so fascinating all of the time. And like, a lot of that comes from the writing, but an equal amount comes from Mads Mikkelsen's performance. He's just such a fabulous actor, and he so inhabits the character, and it's just so good. Such a good show. Anyway, then Alana comes in, and clearly she has taken Will's advice to heart, because she just straight up shoots that guard. She shoots him and she takes his gun, or not his gun, she takes his knife to give to Hannibal. But before she frees him, she makes him promise, makes him swear to save Will. Which is a really nice moment between the two of them, but also, like, of course he was gonna save Will. Does anyone have any doubt at this stage whether or not he would save Will? He can't stop himself. I mean, that's kind of why he needs to eat Will, because if he doesn't kill him, he has to save him, and he will never be able to stop himself from saving Will. That's the whole fucking problem. So Alana cuts one of Hannibal's hands free and leaves the knife there and rips out a chunk of his hair to plant on Mason, and her and Margot scurry off to do their thing. Meanwhile, Will is on the operating table and Mason is monologuing because he's gross and I hate him. Ugh. Cordell puts him to sleep, and then he goes over to Will and he's like, yeah, this'll just keep you still, but I'm not going to give you anesthetic, I'm just going to cut your face off without it. No, I can't fucking deal with it. We cut back to Margot and Alana. They've gone to find the surrogate, and yes, of course, it is just as horrific as I predicted. It's a fucking pig. It's a pig surrogate. Her embryos were implanted in a pig. I'm trying to figure out whether this is better or worse than the guy sewn inside the horse. I don't know. I mean, I suppose the horse is worse because a fetus isn't really a person, and that person was alive and sewn inside a horse, which is worse, I suppose. I don't know. They're both pretty bad. They're both pretty gross. Naturally, Margot is horrified, because it's fucking horrific. And so Alana goes to cut the fetus out of the pig. And that's intercut with like really proper gross cutting into a face, and like you get to see the face peeled off the bone. So I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like, Will, no, shit, they're actually fucking peeling his face off, and he's just gonna spend the next half of the season not having a face, and oh my god, no, I can't deal with it. And then the next scene is Mason waking up, and just for a second I thought maybe he did have Will's face, but he wakes up and he moves, and this face just like slides off his face, and his face is all bloody, and it just ugh. And Mason starts screaming and panicking, screaming for Cordell, but of course Cordell's not there, because Hannibal killed Cordell and cut off his face and put it on Mason's face, and then he carried Will bridal style out of the farm and across the fields, and he's being chased by guards, and then she just like very casually just like shoots them. And it's like, oh, that's, and he just looks behind and he's like, oh, okay, that's fine, that must have been Chio, and just keeps carrying Will away to safety. How did Chio get there? What? How did she know to be in that particular tree? What the fuck's I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm letting it go. So Mason's freaking the fuck out, and Margot and Alana comes in, and he's like, what the fuck's happening? They're like, oh yeah, Hannibal killed everyone and he escaped. They're like, whoa, we have to get after him, And they're like, no, I don't think we'll do that. I think we're done listening to you now. He's like, no, you still need my sperm to get a baby, or you'll never inherit all the stuff. So Mason is rightly frightened by these two very powerful, very scary women, but he still thinks he's untouchable, because he still thinks that they need his sperm. However, Hannibal showed them how to stimulate his prostate so that they could milk his sperm. Now, I'm not going to insinuate anything at all. All I am going to say is that clearly Hannibal has experience stimulating prostates. He used to be a doctor, so that's understandable. So they've got his sperm, they don't need him anymore. And so he pulls his gun and he's trying to shoot it, but he just ends up shooting the fucking eel tank. He falls in the tank, Margot falls in the tank, Alana pulls Margot out, and then they hold Mason under, and they're drowning him, and then an eel swims down his throat, and he dies deep-throating an eel. And all is right with the world. I still do kinda wish he'd gotten fed to the pigs, just because that would have been quite poetic justice, but I'll accept this. I'm good with this. Yeah, I'm quite happy about it. So then we get to these last few scenes at Will's house. Now, I don't know if Hannibal carried Will all the way to his house. That seems far. Maybe they had transport. I don't know. But Will is asleep inside, and Hannibal goes out to talk to Chio on the porch, and he asks her whether she still wants to watch over him or not, and she says yes, she does. She doesn't want to put him in a cage anymore. She just wants to look out for him. So at this point, Hannibal's plan seems to be, once Will is feeling better, him and Will and Chio will all run off together and go into hiding and do it a bit like more low-key this time perhaps, and not get caught. And Will wakes up in his bed in his own home, and he sees Hannibal coming through the door, and Hannibal just sits down in the armchair and Will sits up in bed, and they start talking, and you think you know how this is going to go, because how do any of their conversations go? But then Will says, I miss my dogs. I won't miss you. Which, Will Graham, you are a fucking liar. Not about the dogs, obviously, but come on. And I understand it, I really do understand it. Like, Will has been through an awful lot, especially in the last couple of weeks. Why would he go looking for Hannibal a second time when this time turned out so awfully? And I think he's finally realising that Hannibal can never be the man that he needs him to be. Hannibal is never going to stop being a cannibal, and he's never going to stop murdering people. That's just part of who he is, and Will is never gonna be a murdering cannibal, which is what Hannibal needs. But I do understand Will's dilemma, because obviously he can't kill Hannibal. He's tried that in the past and he just can't do it. He loves him too much. And if Hannibal was to get captured, if he was to be arrested, how could Will ever possibly move on with his life when Hannibal is like, locked up right there and he could just go see him anytime. How could Will ever move on? So really the only option for Will to have any sort of life is for Hannibal to just disappear and Will to never see or speak or hear from him again. And the look on Hannibal's face, oh god, it's just so bad. When Will says that he just doesn't share Hannibal's appetite, and when he says goodbye, fuck. Like, the acting in this scene from Hugh Dancy is incredible, but Mads Mikkelsen, oh my god, because he doesn't say anything. After Will says goodbye, Hannibal doesn't have any lines, but so much is going on his face. And the way he hugs his notebook to his chest for a minute, and he takes like as long as is physically possible to leave the room because he's just hoping that Will is going to change his mind and call him back, and he doesn't, so he eventually just has to walk out the door. And oh my god, Mads Mikkelsen is just such a good actor. So then it's hours later. Jack and the rest of the FBI show up and they're there to arrest Hannibal. And Will comes out and he's like, Jack, you're too late, he's already gone. But then Hannibal emerges from the shadows behind the house, comes out with his hands in the air and surrenders. He surrenders. He's completely surrounded by the FBI with guns, and he's on his knees and Jack is looking down at him. And he doesn't care because he looks over at Will and he says, I want you to know where I am and where you can always find me. Because Hannibal is a selfish prick and he can't ever let Will have a normal life or move on or forget him. So Hannibal gives up his entire life and his freedom. He gives up everything just so Will won't forget about him. And that's the end of the episode. That's the end of the episode. And the next episode is set 3 years in the future. Holy fuck! It really does feel like there should be a hiatus now, and like we should get the next half of the season in a couple of weeks. I almost wish there was a break, because I think I just need time to recover from that episode. Okay, so that's it for this week. I will put the postmortem and trailer links below, and I will also link you to The Soup. You know The Soup, the show on the E! channel? They made a Hannibal fan video, and then the NBC Hannibal Tumblr just reblogged it. Like, what? I don't understand what the fuck is happening. Like, I've never been part of a fandom or of a ship that has become so fucking mainstream. Like, for what is apparently a cult show that doesn't get enough ratings and is being cancelled because of that, like, a lot of people are engaging in it. Like, proper, not just fangirls. This is like legit shows are like shipping Hanagram and supporting the show. So why can't we get picked up by another network? I'm so angry! Honestly, at this point, I don't know if we will get picked up for another season. I don't know if movies are going to happen. I don't know if this is going to be the end. I really hope it's not. But if we don't get any more, at least we can go down knowing that the reason we got cancelled is because we were too gay for TV. And I think that is a pretty noble way to go out. Because this video is so ridiculously late, I will be seeing you again very soon for episode 8. Shit. Can't deal with this show anymore, can you?